Hey guys, welcome back to OverTakes. This is Kel.
And this is Misfit.
And we are here with our Week 2 preview of Stage 3. So, a lot to talk about today. We had a few big news items, or one big news item, a pretty mediocre news item, and another one that's kind of whatever.
Yeah.
All right, so the big one, let's dive into it, is Houston has been purchased by Immortals, who owns the LA Valiant currently. But basically, they bought out Infinite Esports or Optic, which is what they're most commonly known as. So basically, the whole thing was, I think Esports or Infinite and Optic were about to cave or something. Like they needed to sell pretty desperately,
and I think
and Immortals wanted them.
Yeah, and it was more for the Call of Duty, and the CS:GO and that kind of stuff, and probably for League as well.
Yeah, because they're starting like a Call of Duty League next season, or like around this time next year is what it was saying. So
yeah,
they wanted to get a jump on that and get their Call of Duty team for it, and then I think, and they saw that opportunity. But this has been in the works for a while. But today it was officially announced.
Yeah,
but
as far
basically,
the Overwatch League, I have the article up from Polygon. I'll just read from it from the Overwatch League perspective. As far as from the Overwatch League, this is from the article. There are now two teams that are now presided over by IGC. This will be the first major sale of an Overwatch League franchise, let alone to another franchise that's in League. According to the press release, IGC will attempt to facilitate the sale of the Houston Outlaws to a third party. Until then, the Houston Outlaws will be run by IGC as an entirely separate entity from their own LA Valiant. Also, according to a statement included from President and CEO of Activision Blizzard Esports Leagues and the Overwatch League commissioner. I'm trying to pronounce his name before I even get to it. Pete Vlad the Impaler. Pete Vlastica. The Outlaws will also have a heavy league office supervision to ensure that the league is able to verify competitive integrity. Understandable with IGC controlling both teams. You don't want to do some kind of, the Valiant both teams are garbage right now, so it's not going to matter.
Right.
That aside, you're not going to go, let's put Muma over on the Valiant and we'll just make Houston total garbage, and you know what I mean? They don't want anything like that to happen.
Right. So basically, like, the biggest point is that Flame is now pretty much in complete and utter control of the Outlaws until they are purchased by another place. Because he was already had most control over everything.
Yeah.
But I think he's he's the one that's going to be operating the Outlaws in the meantime. Like, they'll basically be getting funding and everything from Immortals, and there will be some things that they'll have some say in, but there's really not too much they can do.
I would think it's more financial contracty stuff.
Right.
And weirdly enough, they both ditched their contenders teams too, didn't they?
I believe so.
Well, one of them was god awful. I forget, Immortals. I don't know. I don't pay attention.
I think it was Immortals.
I probably need to pay more attention to that.
It was not good.
Very afraid. You gave fucking Flame the keys to the car, man. That's
God, right?
That's gonna.
They kind of already did, and look how well it's going for them.
Yeah, it's like the 18-year-old moron getting a fucking motorcycle for his first vehicle. That shit's gonna crash.
Yeah, it's not going to be good. But so it's big in that now there's going to be somebody else who's going to try to buy the team, and then that leads into the speculation of if somebody buys them, what they're going to move them.
They might not, though.
I think it's kind of a 50-50 shot. It definitely depends on who buys them.
To be brutally honest, if I'm an investor, I'm looking at the Houston Outlaws. I'm going, okay, they're not performing well, and their fan base is massive. They're terrible, and they have like on that week thing with the skin cheer thing. Weren't they like third or fourth?
I think so. They were definitely top 5.
And they're hot garbage.
Oh, they're absolutely terrible right now. But it's like, yeah, you've got a rabid fan base. Like, you can absolutely.
I wouldn't call them rabid.
Yeah, not rabid, but
anyone that gets that
all,
many chibi fucking player pictures, man, that's far from rabid.
Yeah,
they're a loyal fan base. That's for sure.
You've got a large installed base.
Nick fans with artistic talent.
Basically, they're all dreaming for the same type of roster, but neither one of them is going to get it. But at least they're not in the same situation as the Knicks, where they're owned by one of the worst owners in sports.
Yeah, they have a lot of money though. Like Lebowski was saying.
Yeah,
they got a lot of money.
Yeah, basically, it's just kind of a matter of who buys them. One potential one that I know of, I don't know if they're actually interested or not, but if they were to be 100 Thieves, if they were to purchase them, I guarantee that they would be going to Detroit.
Yeah, just because of Gilbert.
Dan Gilbert, yep.
I mean,
with him being involved, he wants to make, he says he's a Cleveland guy and he's invested a shitload of money here, but he is 100% a Detroit homer. If he could switch ownership with the owner of the Pistons, he would do it in a heartbeat. Like, that's the type of guy that he is. He wants to make he wants to make Detroit like the hub for everything that he can to make as much money off of it as he can, but also build it up. And if he can do that in the esports arena, he's definitely going to do that.
And he kind of wants to build it up as like an esports, Midwest esports
mecca.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you guarantee they're gonna. I'm pretty sure that they're gonna be involved in the Call of Duty League, and they'll have a team in Detroit for sure.
Yeah, and the thing with, I mean, it from a tactical standpoint, moving it to Chicago would be the best. Mm-hmm. But I mean, from like either there or keeping it in Houston.
But honestly, if he does move them to Detroit, I would become a fan. Just because that's the closest thing we would have here.
I would still go with Toronto. I can't root for anything from Detroit. I just can't.
I feel ya. But I kind of feel the same thing about Chicago. Like, I hate all the Chicago teams too.
Well, yeah, you're from Cleveland. I'm not.
Yeah.
So you have that hatred of them. I
think the only team that I wouldn't, or the only place I wouldn't despise if it was Buffalo, and we know that's not happening.
Well, yeah. That would be like maybe they'll move to St. Louis or something.
Yeah, St. Louis, maybe like Milwaukee, but again,
Des Moines.
No one's gonna do that.
Des Moines, the new hotbed for Midwest esports. Oh,
it's 12 hours from everywhere, so it's not too bad.
Got an airport. They got corn.
Yeah,
and probably pigs. I think they're a big pig farming state.
Yeah, probably.
Well, I only know that because we're getting way off the rails here.
way off base here. So that's the big thing. Minutes. Some speculation on like how that could play out. And I'm sure there's tons of other buyers that'll be interested. I can't imagine it's going to happen anytime soon.
I would say probably after the regular season ends, so you're probably going to get more.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah, like
before BlizzCon.
Yeah, maybe. Like maybe the potential buyer happens towards the end of stage 4, maybe during the playoffs. Like, but I don't imagine definitely no announcements of moving it or anything like that are going to happen until after the season's over.
Yeah, and I don't think there's going to be any player movement or anything like that. I think it's just going to kind of. I mean, we all want them to make moves, but
right.
At this point, they're not going to.
Right.
It's a weird spot.
Definitely not. Yeah, and I think that kind of locks in their roster even more almost.
Yeah, until the off season, for sure. Yeah, and then honestly, fully expect this team to get gutted. Yeah,
like if they get purchased by anybody, I'm gonna bet most, if not all, of this team is gonna get cut, and they're gonna bring in some other people.
Yeah, and there's a few guys. I mean, I would take.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, but I mean, if I'm going into the Overwatch League and I'm purchasing it, I'm going, why is there only one Korean on your team?
Right.
I mean, they dominate the rest of the league. Except, although I think
San Francisco's kind of setting a new precedent.
Right. The NA players can play GOATs. Mm-hmm. It's not the Europeans that are actually, well, they had a good week, the Paris, but
Paris did.
And NA running 3-3 is pretty good. I mean, the guys are good. They're invested in it for the most part, and if you look at the teams and who they're picking up, they're not picking up. Well, some of them are picking up Korean players and stuff like that, but you got teams like the Valiant who are picking up. They got the guys from the Mayhem. You have Toronto picking up Shirak and Gods.
Right. Speaking of some of the roster moves, let's go into like kind a pretty minor one.
Well, it's minor. The minor one first.
Let's do the minor one first. So basically, Kodak has been dropped to the Contenders team.
By his own volition. He just wanted to, I think.
Yeah, he's not really getting playing time. It's pretty clear that Dogman is the favorite. And it seems like that's kind of why Daco wasn't playing, because he didn't even want Kodak on the roster or something like that. Yeah. So that it seems like they kind of have worked that out. Kodak's going down to Contenders, and it's probably for the best for Atlanta because they look 10 times better with Daco.
And it's probably the best for Kodak, too.
Yeah, he's going to get major playing time.
Yeah. He's not terrible.
No, he's really not. And I think he'll have another shot at a roster next season.
Yeah.
Especially if, even though they've said that there's no expansion, if someone comes in and be like, I'll give you $100 million for a franchise, they're going to be like, no, fuck you.
Yeah.
I don't want your $100 million.
That's the one thing I keep saying. Oh, yeah, there's not going to be any expansion. Someone drops a, hi, I'm from blah, blah, blah.
Right.
Here's a big suitcase full of cash. Can we get a team?
Yeah, exactly.
Can you put us in the Atlantic?
Right. We're going to put the team in Australia, but we want to be in the Atlantic division.
Yeah. We're just going to base them out of Baltimore because that's, we can be in the Atlantic division and potentially win.
Right. God, a Baltimore team. Just
I don't know.
More reason to hate them.
God, I keep bringing up all you fucking must hate me, as far as sports go. Seriously.
For the most part, I'm not a huge fan of any of your teams.
No. They've been a thorn in your
But honestly, I don't care. I wasn't alive during the times in football that you guys dominated us, so that doesn't bother me as much as it does most other Browns fans.
Well, it was your own.
I fucking hate your baseball team.
Yeah, well, everybody hates my baseball team except for the fans of my baseball team. No one's
and even sometimes them.
Yeah, I hate my baseball team a lot of the time.
Somehow you guys are still staying in it. I don't get it. You have a injured list longer than an active player list almost.
But now on to the bigger move. So let's talk about Shanghai releasing Guardian.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he was part of that whole influx of was it Chengdu Panthera? Mm-hmm. When they brought that roster in and all that stuff. So, he was their off-tank, and they parted ways with him. And I had a little... I sent Kel a text, and we had a little conversation about it. They're all in on Somber Goats.
Yeah.
I mean, they're running
100%.
They're running at 60 to 70% of the time.
It is. And then, you have a guy like Guardian, it's almost unfair to him because he's not a bad off tank.
No, he's not.
But he at the same time he can't play Sombra, so you can't really do that. So you have to just you almost have to do him a favor and let him go so he can go sign with another team.
Yeah, exactly.
I fully expect somebody to try and pick him up.
Of Florida.
Probably.
Florida.
They really should, actually. But yeah, I think he's a good fit there.
Zephyr.
No freaking kidding. Holy shit. That's been a disaster.
Well, I knew it was going to be a disaster. We talked about that when it happened. I was anyway.
Right.
Off that team.
So yeah, with them picking up, or with them dropping Guardian. It basically puts Gigori as their only off tank, but they're not going to really play her that much, and she'll be able to hold her own in the limited time that she'll see.
Yeah, I think she's better than people give her credit for. Is she the greatest? No, but she does good work when she's out there, and she can flex a little bit. I don't think people think she can flex at all. She can play some other stuff.
Yeah,
but they're mainly running Ding on Sombra, who's fucking amazing on Sombra, and because we're going to talk about it in a second, but the replay thing is unbelievable. I spent way too much time on it last night, but
well, you were watching him specifically, and he was doing some really crazy stuff. Like,
yeah,
this dude's freaking Sombra is just gross.
Yeah, just alone from using that and watching him, like his translocator placement, because I play a lot of Sombra, and well, I was, and then I stopped. And since there's a lot of this bunker shit that I can't stand, I'm just going to Sombra in my matches. At least I try, and I end up playing Zenyatta because nobody wants to heal, but that's a whole nother story. But like where he put, just like watching where he throws his translocator, just the awareness when he's out there, the way he's plays Sombra, he's probably, I would say, in the top 3 in the league.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Other things that he plays, you know, I mean,
right.
So they're kind of all in on that and running other, you know, DPS comps. I don't think they really needed him, and I honestly think it was a good thing that, unless there was some kind of internal strife that we don't know about, but I think it was kind of a good thing that they let him go, unless it was like a precursor, like I said, with Florida, you know how they use, like, sometimes they release somebody and then 2 days later you're like, oh, welcome to the team, blah, blah.
Right.
Yeah. But I think he can be valuable to someone else.
Absolutely.
I don't think it's going to put Shanghai in any kind of bad position. Because they're not using him anyway.
Right. All right. So that I think that kind of leads into our games we want to watch. So
we're going to go back to what we used to do.
Yeah. So this is kind of our in our sights / games and teams that we want to keep an eye on.
Yeah.
So the big one this week, honestly, is going to be the team we were just talking about, and that's Shanghai. They've got a match against Atlanta. That's the only game that they're playing this week, but I think this is a really big game because both of these teams are on the upswing, and I think this is going to be a really good...
I think this is going to be a fantastic match to watch.
Yeah, I think it's going to kind of give us an idea of where both of these teams are, and I'm super excited to watch and see how they play against each other and what they do and who comes out on top.
Yeah, so am I. I'm excited. I've been jumping on, especially after watching some of the stuff on the... By the way, guys, download that thing.
Yes, it's so cool.
Please download it. Well, the only setback is it's kind of, if you want the announcers and all that stuff, watch it on Twitch. But if you want to just like dive in and like watch your favorite player play and see what they're doing, download that client. And also another recommendation: turn the main volume down, because I know you want to kind of hear when the ultimates and the sound effects come out, but it's like all of the voice lines and everything are in there. It's kind of annoying.
Well, it's like when they do the
it's exactly when they do that thing.
Yeah, when they do the between episode or the between map thing, and then you just hear "rally to me, nerf this," like just on a constant like
pass into the iris.
You're right.
Hammer down. Is anyone dead? No. Yeah, but like it's like has all the death sounds and like, you know, that like when they however they make whatever sound they make. That was the worst I got killed sound from a video game attempt that I ever. That was awful. But like all that stuff. But anyway, so one of the guys we're going to talk about too in that we were just started to talk about him was Ding, and he's a great DPS player. His Sombra, like I was watching, in fact, the main thing I was watching was him on Oasis, the first map against the Valiant, and he was doing some just. You're going, okay, where are you going? Then he threw his where he was throwing his translocator, like I was saying, he was like throwing it like, so they were on gardens, and he was throwing it in that weird like where idiot widows go to die hole there. You know where I mean? Right above the high ground. Bronze level. I know this for a fact. Bronze level Hanzos climb up there and think they're going to get shit done. That hole. He had it up in there, and he kept going like in and out. And I think he got on that map alone. They full capped it too. Went 100 to. They went 100 to 0. 2 MP is off, and he got probably the first one he got 3, and the second one he got all 6.
Goddamn.
If you guys want to learn how to play some Sombra, watch him. And plus, if you want to watch some DPS, he's good on that too. That's the thing I like. And Atlanta can kind of, if they want to scrap DPS stuff too, they can do that.
It really is. I'm so excited. I think on the other side of it with Atlanta, now that we've seen them come back and have Daco, I mean, we see just how much of an impact this guy makes. Like,
that dude is amazing.
It's insane.
Yeah.
How much better this team is when that guy is playing.
They have 2 of the most underrated players in the league on this team.
They really do.
Daco and Masa.
Masa.
You hear about Slime, you hear about Moth, you hear about other guys. Masa is amazing. And
I think he might be one of the most criminally underrated players in the entire league, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, other guys get more pub because, some of them are a little bit flashier, but he does some serious work for Atlanta. It's not like the flashy boops in the holes and environmental stuff. Like, he'll do the boop into the Earth Shatter or the grabs or, the stuff that you need him to do, necessary stuff.
Right.
He's amazing.
Yeah, he's one of those guys. Incredible. Like, he just makes like plays that you wouldn't expect, but he just makes, and you just don't even think about it, like the things that he does, but he puts his team in great position, and he puts the other team out of position to where his team can take advantage of it.
Yeah, exactly.
And he's so good at that. No one talks about it.
Yeah. I mean, you get guys, Masa's really good, like on the Des and stuff like that. Back to Daco, he just does work.
Yeah.
He's another one that's not like super flashy. He doesn't do
minus the grab eats. Like this,
yeah, well,
he is a monster when it comes to eating grabs.
Well, other than Choi Hyobin.
Yeah.
Of course, he was getting fed by Baby Bay a little bit.
Yeah, he was.
But he does that to everybody, though, Choi Hyobin, so he doesn't really count. Of like all the people in the league, he had to have just like spent a ton of time just like practicing that. He's unbelievable. But Daco's really good at that too. But he's good at all the other good diva play things, defense matrix usage outside of like trying to eat a grab, peeling, all the necessary, getting aggressive when he has to. He's just really good.
Yeah, it's insane. All right, so Atlanta is going to play 2 games. The other game they're going to be playing is against Seoul.
They have a gauntlet
yeah, like they have a really rough schedule. But honestly, like they're holding their own, even though they're 0-2 right now. Like they are the best 0-2 team we've seen yet to put up a fight against like the 2 best teams in the league, undisputed.
Yeah, and minus a dumb grab or 2 by Baby Bay on that last map. They could have beat San Francisco. I don't think they would have beat Vancouver, but...
And that's why I kind of expect them to beat Shanghai. Like, I think Shanghai's getting really good, but I think Atlanta is just so hungry for the win that they're gonna come out just everything swinging and just throw some massive punches that Shanghai's not going to be able to recover from.
Yeah, because they want to be in that discussion with that right underneath San Francisco and Vancouver.
Yeah, they want to be in that 3-2 to 7 range.
Yeah. They want to be in the playoffs without having to do the gauntlet thing.
Exactly.
And they keep working like this.
They have a good shot at it, yeah. But the other team that they're going to play this week is Seoul, and that presents some other problems or some other things that they're going to have to think about, because which Seoul are you going to get?
Yeah.
Are you going to get so Seoul is doing the whole dual lineup thing, similar to what New York and London did last season.
Yeah,
and
they're doing it almost more like exactly what London did on some of those, like when they had those hardcore weeks last year.
So with one of them, it's Fitz, Michelle, Fissure, Fleta, Toby, and Hailey. The other one is Rujehong, Jexi, Illicit, Marvel, Zunba, and Munchkin. So which team is their best team? I lean towards the Rujehong Marvel.
Yeah, I like that one too.
I think that's the better team, but I think because they're playing, they play San Francisco on Sunday, so I think they're probably going to play the Fitz, Michelle, Fissure, Fleta lineup instead, and save the Marvel Zumba one for.
And if you think about it, really, the one with the Fleta Fissure lineup is more flexible.
Yeah,
and they can flex in and out of different things other than goats playing Atlanta.
Right, and because Atlanta's just going to go straight goats. It's really good goats, but know what they're going to come out with. Like, you're not going to get any surprises.
Yeah. And the Marvel Michelle.
San Francisco's probably going to also do that, but they're 10 times better at anybody else.
Yeah, but the Marvel Michelle kind of lineup is better at that, and I think that would be a better spot to play them.
Right.
Against San Francisco.
I agree.
But yeah, I mean, we could pick a player on Seoul, but I just want to see what it's the whole entity of Seoul right now.
Right, like which team is going to be better, who's going to play who, and at the same time, like who do they end up sticking with? Because that's inevitable.
Yeah, because it happened in London last year. They were doing.
I think they find out whichever team works better together.
Yeah,
and then the other team gets dropped.
Right, and then with London last year, it was like, okay, so we have the two. Was it Chengdu Panthera and whoever the other one was? I always forget, but then it was like, well, Prophet needs to be in all the time. And then, well, he needs to be in all the time with Bird Ring, and then. All right, so we'll flop in Fissure and Gesture all the time on different things. Then I was like, no, that's not working. You know what I mean? And then it's like, well, we're going to put in Closer instead of Badoshin. And then it was like, well, on this map, we're going to put in Wu Yal instead of Fury. And then we're going to have, because Wu Yal doesn't work, then it's like this whole fucking complicated math thing that just fucked everything up. You could run two. I like the idea of it. I find it like hockey. Where you run different lines. So, I mean, in hockey you have like to 5 lines, and not getting into like penalty killing and all that stuff, but usually you have a couple of lines that are like the normal lines, and then you have like ones that you want to do like heavy checking or, defensive. And
exactly.
It reminds me of that when you run 2 rosters. Plus all the scrim time and all that stuff is good. But you can't get into, well, Fleta needs to play all the time. Once you start doing that, you got to pick one roster. Because I think you can get away with doing the 2 roster thing.
Yeah, I think they can, but at the same time,
with it, though.
Yeah, like that's the problem is, they just, I don't know. Like I don't know which team is going to be good enough to get them over the hump. I lean towards the Michelle or the Marvel
Michelle one. I like that one better too.
Marvel Zunba one, but like I don't know.
That's
like, are you also going to? It's really risky to do that.
Yeah.
Because, like, if you find out that, like, oh, well, we actually want to keep Michelle, we're going to get rid of Zumba and put him in, then, like, you have to work on that whole thing, too.
Right. And that's the whole thing, especially with this meta. The last meta, you could kind of jump people in and out, and especially, like, with London. So it's like, all right, we're going to put Wuyal in. Prophet can probably carry.
Right.
You know what I mean? Or
you're right.
You don't have the hard carry with goats.
Yeah, you really don't. It's so much more team based, and which team is it gonna be that's gonna be really good? I don't know.
Yeah, and you have to be rigid. Like I said, the only way it's gonna work is if you're rigid with it.
Right, and I do lean towards the Marvel one just because Marvel has been so much better, but it's weird.
Yeah.
Like, this is a strange approach. I think so far it's worked out for them, but
yeah,
I mean, they played 2 horrible teams last week, so that's really not giving them much.
It's not a good benchmark, but
no.
I think they did it to see, like, if and how it would work. I mean, it did against them. They're probably going to try something like that this week too. Mm-hmm. And also, like, it goes back to, like, what we talked about last year. So you have one squad working on Atlanta, and you have one squad working on San Francisco. I mean, it's going to be easier to do that than try and have a team, because they're both big games.
Right.
I think they tried it as an experiment last week. It worked. You know, you're working on, Florida. You guys are working on, what was it? I forget. Guangzhou, or who else did they play? They played the Charge or the Spark. No, they didn't play the Spark. They would have gotten smashed.
Yeah.
But yeah, it worked out to start. I kind of want to see where this is going.
Yeah, same. So
I will be on the replay editor.
Yes, for sure. I'm very curious to kind of see where they'll be with that, and then how it kind of looks with all of it. So let's move on to the last team we wanted to talk about this week. They're probably going to get smashed, or they're going to smash them, but they're playing Dallas, so, like, Dallas would be the team that just gets crushed by Chengdu.
Yeah.
But I also feel like if Dallas comes out with the right mindset and plan of attack, that they're going to absolutely demolish this team.
Yeah. I mean, we talked about it a little bit on Sunday. Mm-hmm. Chengdu's not in a good place, really.
They're really not.
And I keep calling them the Tebow Broncos, but they're kind of getting figured out. Especially one of the things we're figuring out is their DPS are really good when they're going against goats. Mm-hmm. But like a mirror kind of thing, they're not as good. And their flexibility is kind of inflexible at this point, if that made any sense. Like, everyone's like, oh yeah, they're flexing out of goats. They can't really play goats.
They're just running the same comp, and, like, when they do try to play goats, it's just a mess. And, like, they're switching out Ameng at times and it's just, it did not look good. And I'm worried that this team is falling apart. And honestly, I think there's 2 big questions. Because honestly, I don't understand why they take Ameng out in the first place. Like, I don't care how good the other guy is at anything. Like, your best bet right now is for Ameng to play Wrecking Ball or Rhine, because he's actually a pretty decent Rhine.
Yeah.
When you have to run that, but honestly, I think we're starting to see where Jinmu is kind of like, he gets a lot of play, and people, like, he has a lot of flashy plays, and a lot of people talk about him, but I think he's a little bit overrated.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you on that too. I think it was something we talked about in stage 2 when we thought people were going to switch out of goats for a little bit there when we had that big patch drop. Mm-hmm. It's what's he going to do when other people are playing DPS against him?
Exactly.
He's good on Pharah and what he does, but when other teams are running hit scan, or they're running other kinds of, snipers and things like that, or Pharah v Pharah, he's okay. And you can't have okay
Yeah,
when you're playing that style that they're playing.
Right, you need better. And like, what if, God forbid, you get to a point where everyone else starts playing DPS? Is he going to be able to carry like he is? And make the plays that he has made? And I don't think he will be able to. I really don't. Like, I think he's gonna, like, he's able to thrive in those situations, or at least a little bit, and make plays because there's really nobody countering him per se. But in a way, they are, because they're still not winning.
Right.
Like, he's making plays and getting kills, but like, it's not in an effective enough way because they're not kills that matter. And the other team is able to coordinate in a way that it kind of negates anything that he does anyway.
Yeah, exactly. And at a certain point, when you're slamming that far up against goats and you're not getting the right amount of kills and all that stuff, you're just, and it takes too long.
Yes.
And
it takes too long, and
I sound like all the casters
floating in the air against people that, like, if you go anywhere near the ground, you're going to get
murdered,
slaughtered so fast.
Yeah, and he's good at not doing that, but
right. But that's one less body on the point, and one less body that's there,
or two if you're running a Far Mercy.
Right.
So at that point, you're immediately involved in a 4v6, more or less, like on the ground.
Yeah, and it's not good. But I think also, I don't think they're overrated or underrated. I don't think. I would say probably underrated or overrated would be their support line.
They're kind of mediocre, in my opinion.
I think at best they are mediocre.
Yeah. They don't do anything huge, but they don't do anything, like, I don't know. Watching them...
They're not Zupe and Zebasai.
Well, let's not go that far down the ladder.
Right, like, they're definitely not that level of bad. But at the same point, they're not much higher than that.
They're a little above the Outlaws.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Just slightly. And that's mostly due to KYO. I think he's a pretty solid flex tank. But I think Ivital...
You mean...
or Ivital is kind of... Or maybe... Yeah, I flipped it. Because I think KYO is kind of meh. Ivital is okay. But he's just not able to make the plays that a guy like Masa is going to make.
Right, that's the thing.
Yeah, like, he's not really going to have an impact on anything either way.
Yeah,
like, he just kind of does his job, and that's about it.
And Keo, he doesn't frag out or, like, drop that. Also, they're playing a weird comp too.
Right.
So the Zen is, like, it's hard to gauge, like, how much, like, damage and shit he should be doing in that comp. He should be making picks, though.
Right, and he's just not getting the picks that they need.
I think with him, it's more the discording isn't on par with some of the other guys, because in that, you're doing damage and you're building your ult and all that stuff, but your discord means a lot when you're running that big of a DPS comp, especially against goats, because if you're not hitting your discords right, they're not going to attack you know what I mean? That it's a whole thing where you're going to discord the Rhine, attack the Rhine, that kind of thing. And I think there's a little bit of it just doesn't seem to be working as much.
Yeah, I agree. They're just not able to have the same impact, because I think teams have figured out how to counter it, and they know what to expect now for the most part. And there's not even new maps that they're going to be able to throw something really wonky at you that hasn't been played before. So I think it's just gotten to a point where, like, okay, you tried something different and everyone figured it out, and it's not working anymore.
Yeah, and like the surprise running goats isn't even working anymore. Because it would be like, before it was like, oh shit, they're running goats, and then they would actually win. or at least look decent enough, because they threw the other team off because they were expecting them to totally be on, that weird, the Hammond comp. But yeah, that's I'm interested to see, and not to talk a whole ton about Dallas, but Dallas is the team that, could get 4-0'd by them, conversely, after we did our little dump on Chengdu there. But
yeah, like that is the thing. Like, you could see Dallas just completely take a shit on it and like get nothing.
Yeah.
So you just really don't know. I do think Dallas is kind of turning the corner in that. Like, they're beating the teams that they should.
And they should beat Chengdu.
And they should. But at the same time, I would never be surprised if they lose a game.
Ever. But yeah, like last week was the perfect 4-0 and then getting 4-0'd.
So it's hard to judge this team, but I do think that they'll take care of business against.
Yeah, and I know everybody,
especially considering Chengdu got smoked by Guangzhou, so
yeah, that
should tell you something.
Like with Chengdu, everybody loves them. They're fun. They're fun to watch, but at the end of the day, like, pretty much everybody has been saying that hasn't gotten mesmerized by the siren song, so to speak. Mm-hmm. Anyone with a realistic outlook is going, yeah, but they're not winning games.
Right.
I understand they're fun to watch, but
if you're not winning, how much is that really doing for you?
Yeah, exactly. It's fun to watch the Harlem Globetrotters play, but are they going to win the NBA? Probably not.
No way. They're going to get smoked by the worst team in the league. It's like anybody that says like, "Oh, Alabama could beat the winless Browns." No,
they can't.
I don't care how many NFL ready players they have. They're not in the NFL yet.
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's the same type of thing.
They're just, I feel bad. No, I don't feel bad, but I feel bad for them as a team. It's kind of like they're invested in this thing, and it's kind of working. They got all this fan base and all this stuff. Mm-hmm. But end of the day, W's and L's are not where they should be.
One quick thing with that, like just kind of going off of that point, is it is weird that Overwatch is one of the few leagues where the lower tier has some teams that could absolutely demolish some of it, and we're finding that out this year because we added 2 Korean contenders teams and or 3 Korean contenders teams, and the freaking Vancouver Titans are just demolishing everybody. So it is interesting that happens in this, but I think eventually, as the league develops, that will no longer be the case.
Yeah. And the one thing I continue to say, though, too, about Tier 2, I don't watch it. Uh-huh. And even in the, the Path to Pro kind of stuff?
Yeah.
Like they're the ones that are breaking the meta, not the pros. And that's the most fucked up, backwards ass thing I've ever seen in any league in my life.
The one comparison I would say right now is everyone said the same thing about college offenses in football, and kind of look at where our offenses are in football right now.
Yeah. Well, and realistically, and coaches have said this in football about that, is, well, we got to do with, we have to deal with the players that you're giving us. What do they know? They know this. So we got to run some sort of spreadish offense.
Right.
Or, in Overwatch League's case, like this year especially, is like coming in, it's like, okay, all these teams that are coming in, all these guys have been playing GOATs since, last September or however long, and like in the Vancouver's case, for the last 2 contenders rounds. So that's what they know.
For sure.
But so what's that mean? Next year we're going to get to watch me and Torb run around?
Oh, dear God.
Hopefully
with next year, there's enough changes coming to the game that, like, we have a completely different, this is basically a completely different game by that time.
Yeah.
With the addition of multiple new heroes and whatever else is being rumored and speculated about.
They'll still be playing GOATs.
Probably.
Houston will be still practicing.
It'll just be like two new healers and Lucio and Yeah.
Yeah, they'll run the new tank on Horizon Lunar Colony Defense or something like that.
Exactly.
Yeah, they're just not Ryan or... Anyway.
Yeah.
Actually, I had a point and I forgot what the fuck I was going to say. God damn it. Okay, guys, that is going to do it for our week's preview. I hope you liked, the new / old format that we were doing. And look for some, different stuff. We're going to have, we have access to the whole library of the week's games, and we're going to be, breaking some stuff down, talking about different matches. We'll be throwing some more stuff at you, coming up. And, if you guys are on YouTube, thanks a lot. Please hit a like and subscribe if you're new. Also, if you guys are on any of the pod-catching devices like iTunes, SoundCloud, Spotify, give us a rating where you can, and it would be greatly appreciated. Also, if you would like to support us some more, we have a Patreon page. We're starting to add some more content to that. A lot of it's going to be stuff like we were saying with the replay editor. Also, Sunday nights, catch us on Twitch. We're going to do our Sunday night back cap. We're going to start trying to get some guests in for you guys. People that you know, people that you might not know. We're going to talk, Overwatch League, sports radio format kind of thing. So
just keep an eye out on our Twitter. And we'll announce who's going to be on and when.
Yeah, and the general times. Although, so just a programming note though. Real life stuff happens, and the 30th of June, the Sunday night back cap will not be happening. We'll probably do something on Monday night if possible. Cal and I have jobs, and it's the end of the month, and it's the end of the quarter, so everybody's got to do inventory.
Yep.
And so many people that are in retail and various forms of, that kind of business will understand that. Yeah. And we're going to try and get to you guys and talk, the week's action and all that stuff. But look out for guest announcements and stuff like that. We're working on some stuff. We're going to talk to some people and come on Sunday nights and talk some Overwatch League and, join us. All the links are down below. You guys have a good rest of your day, and we will talk to you later.
Catch you guys on the next one. Later.